What's happening? Clank your chains and count your change. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. What's up, everybody? Excited about today's guest? Hope you are too. What's happening in Scotland, Robert? How's the weather in Scotland? Good. Laurie Dawn, what's up? Sean Brennan, what's happening? Ready for the big Biohazard show next week or what? John Burry in the UK. Okay, good. The gang's all here. Yes, Biohazard's this Friday. Yep. Hey, you know, I don't have a lot of time to cha-cha around today, so let's get right to it. What's up with you, man?
What's up?
What's happening?
Look what I found.
Mike. Hey, Mike, you ready to play? I'll see you at rehearsal on Tuesday, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm super excited.
Yeah, good.
Can you see where we're at, by the way?
You hold on before we do that. That's right. Yeah, this Sunday, a week from today, we're opening up the festivities. We're playing with Biohazard at Irving Plaza. So that's going down. If you're there and you want to see us play, get online and come in early. The doors open at 4. We're on at 4:30. So, yeah, where are you? Is that are you guys at the old A7, the birthplace of New York Hardcore?
Right here.
Where's my A7? I still call it A7.
Yeah.
Is that the plaque? That's the plaque behind you, right?
There you go.
Sir. Yeah.
I think you're on there a couple of times, right?
I'm on there twice. I played in 2 bands on that plaque.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Yeah. The last time we were here was the last show, first show back, last show here.
That's, we call that the magic room.
It absolutely is. It's amazing. And they were super kind enough to let us come in here because there's a festival in the park right now, so we needed to come get some quiet,
Right.
So.
And no, we are not playing Friday. I will be there Friday, but we are not. ID is not playing Friday. ID is playing on Sunday. So that said, yes. Good to see you yesterday, Lenny. Happy 50th birthday, bro.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Lenny killed it with both bands, by the way.
Yeah, it was a fun gig. Yeah, a lot of people came out, for Lenny's the Lenny's 50th. So we're not mad at that. But that said, in keeping with tradition, let's do photo of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, this is photo of the day. Boom. Wrong answers only, please. Photo of the day. There you go.
It's turnstile on the Grammys.
It looks like the bass player on the right has horns on his head.
He does.
Yeah. Let's see. Is it Spinal Tap? Is it Yo, I'm bummed I missed it? What else?
Wolf.
Come on. Is it Nickelback? Is it Rose Tattoo? All right.
Don't mess with Rose Tattoo, man.
Is it Iron Maiden? Kind of close.
Hanoi Rocks.
Is it the Village People? Is it Geriatric Youth? Is it the Pet Shop Boys? Is it Metallica? Is it Iron Priest? Listen, man. Is it Duran Duran? No, it's not Duran Duran. That I guarantee you. This is not Duran Duran. Is it Kiss Without Makeup? Fair enough. Here's another clue. Let's just get right to it. Is it? Here you go. Here's another shot. Steven Messina shot. Here you go. Let's just cut right to the bone. Right answers only, please. Let's get going. What do we got here? Let's hear it.
Oh, you want to hear from me?
No. Let's hear from everybody else. You know what I did hear? That this jacket that he wears weighs like something like 50 pounds or something.
Oh yeah, no, it's all real heavy stuff, and I mean all his
leather, real metal.
Yeah, I don't see him doing the pleather,
Yeah.
Hell bent for pleather.
Hell bent for pleather. Here's another one that you shot. There you go. Is it Priest? Is it Judas 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 Priest? Now, this is, excuse me if I may interject, this is Judas Priest before guys started leaving and all that, right?
Yes, correct. You're looking at Glenn Tipton, who has been very ill over the last few years and still makes occasional appearances like at the end of the set.
Right.
But he hasn't been able to play a full show in many years now. And I think he has Parkinson's, actually. But,
now, this is KK Downing, right?
Yes, who's no longer in the band.
He was the first one out, right?
Yes, and he actually formed the band.
Right.
Yeah, he actually has a band now called KK's Priest.
Right. And does Ripper Owens sing for them?
Yes, he does.
You know, I was thinking about this when I saw these pictures, and I thought to myself that, like Iron Maiden, because the only time I ever saw Iron Maiden playing was when Blaze Bayley was singing. I thought the only time I ever saw Judas Priest play was when Ripper Owens was singing, and I was like, how could? And then I remembered I was at the US Festival in '83, and I saw Priest play at the US Festival in '83.
Yeah, that was That's the Screaming for Vengeance era you saw.
Yeah, they were good. They were great. You know,
these pictures were taken in 2005, right when Rob returned to the band.
I see.
So this was the Angel of Retribution tour, taken at the Jones Beach Amphitheater in Wantagh, Long Island.
Were they headlining that?
Oh yeah, it was Judas Priest and Queensryche.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they just, I'm one of the bands that has been like, in my listening since I was a kid, since Unleashed in the East came out. And
you know a Priest record I like because I was in the mix when it came out was a Painkiller.
Painkiller. Oh yeah,
his Painkiller. Yeah, I always liked that record.
Yeah, that was a heavy one for them.
Yeah, I remember reading that they took like 21 like tracks in the recording for the snare drum. It's like gish.
That's what Mike does.
Yeah, you got to mic it on top, got to mic it on the bottom, on the inside.
Yep. Hey, speaking of, we're playing with Biohazard on Sunday. Someone just called to my attention that 39 years ago today was this Biohazard show at Roseland. Imagine that.
And look at that. And you still have Sheer Terror opening for them on Sunday.
And Sub-Zero.
And Sub-Zero, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sworn Enemy, don't forget.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, all of these bands are still active.
I'm sorry. 29 years ago. I'm sorry. 29 years ago was this show.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything but 25 to Life, all those bands are still active.
Absolutely. All right.
Can't stop rock and roll.
Were you guys going back into Tompkins Square Park?
Yeah, we're going to go catch Death Cycle now.
Death Cycle.
Oh, right on.
The
MDC, right? We said I was going to bring Dave Dichter over here, but we never would have gotten away from the camera.
He sent me a message inviting me down to the show today, and I'm like, I'm doing my show, bro. I can't make it.
We'll send you regards.
Say hi to Dave for me. Thanks, you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
See you Tuesday.
I'll see you at rehearsal, bro. Don't be late. Well, there you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Upstate Records, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126hardcoreclothing.com. Come on now. Mario and Kim, Upstate Records. They're a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label founded in 2017. They broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation in 2018. and since then have churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history. In 2023, look for new releases by Mark Rizzo's new band Revenge Beast, which is out now, and we are playing with them at the Bowery Electric on June 25th for my birthday show. Carl from Earth Crisis is Fryer. Carl's coming up on the show. Fury of 5, who we're playing with on Sunday. Angry Corpses and a few more surprises that are in the works. Check them out at www.upstaterecords.com and use the code STONE10 for 10% off. That said, let's bring our guest on. Let's make sure there's no hysteria in the chat room. Let's see. Everybody good? Okay. All right, good. Let's clear the deck. What the heck? And let's bring our guest on. Here we go. Hailing from Winnipeg, Manitoba, today's guest is an American-Canadian musician, podcast host, artist, and so much more. Known as wrestling's David Bowie, he is recognized by journalists and industry colleagues as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. As a musician, he's known for his 7 studio albums and numerous world tours fronting the band Fozzy. Here today to talk to us about his new graphic novel, The Painmaker, please welcome, coming at us from the Sunshine State of Florida, Mr. Chris Jericho. Hey, bro.
That was a hell of an intro, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, man, you know how these things go. These friggin' podcasts. You got
absolutely.
You got to do some homework.
Well, you've done some homework. It worked out good. Actually, I really appreciated the Judas Priest deep dive that we did earlier. We were discussing this the other day on what the actual best Priest record is, and it depends on what era you came in. But I think the best one probably has to be British Steel. If you're going overall, I think British Steel is the best.
Fair enough. There's a Unleashed in the East, which is like the great like pseudo live album. That's right. It's one of those one of those live albums that's really not a live album, right?
Here's the news flash for everybody watching. There's really no such thing as a live album. Actually, there is one. Van Halen put out a live record in 2015 that was right off the soundboard, and it's so sloppy that you're like, just Roth and all that sort of stuff. I just wish they would have tightened it up a bit because it was officially Van Halen's last release. So you understand why you want to make a live album a little bit more, shall we say, sharpened up a bit because it lives forever, right? So, I just feel that you want to kind of have a little bit of sauce on it just to make it a little bit better.
Even the great live records, that people believe, Deep Purple made in Japan or Grateful Dead Europe 72 have a copious amount of overdubs on them, or even the Guns N' Roses live thing. I'm like, wait a second. I hear
Axl. How live is it really, right?
Double tracked. I'm like, wait a second. How is his vocals double tracked?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, that's the discussion for another time.
Hey, so let's chop it up a little bit. We'll take the horse. We'll ride the horse where it leads us. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
Yeah, like my dad was always super into music. Like I remember he had the big vinyl collection of all the stuff from the 60s, a lot of 8-track tapes. They used to have the record player that was almost like a piece of furniture. Remember those?
Yeah, right.
Like you could actually put a whole plate set on it. You could have dinner on it. You would lift the lid up, and then you would put the record player on. So that's kind of how I grew up. But my dad was super into music. And I remember the first album I ever bought was an 8-track. It was called Beach Boys Summer Fun.
Nice.
And you could buy it on TV at like 1-800-572 Beach Boys Summer Fun.
K-Tel presents.
K-Tel presents. And it would come in the mail like 6 weeks later.
Yep.
And then you would just be like, so that was actually an 8-track tape. Like, fucking hell, man. Like, how long did 8 tracks last for? Yeah. And yet that was my first album that I ever officially had.
Hey, I got to touch on your dad for a second, right? Because when I mentioned that you're coming on the show to some of my friends here in New York City who are like manic Ranger fans, they were like, yeah, Chris Jericho's cool, but his dad played for the Rangers. Like, whatever with Chris Jericho, but his dad was on the Rangers, you know, in 69 through 75, which is pretty incredible. Did you do you have memories as a young person of your dad playing with the Rangers?
Yeah, I do. I actually remember. I remember being in Madison Square Garden. I remember exactly kind of where I was sitting too, seeing my dad playing. And I used to hate the fact that he would never look up and wave at me while he was skating down the ice.
Right.
And I also remember I thought it was so loud. My grandma had made me like this knit wool jacket. And whenever somebody scored, I'd put the jacket over my head because it was too loud. It's too loud. It's too loud. So it's probably like 3 or 4. But I literally like kind of grew up in Madison Square Garden, which is so cool because at one point, John Cena and I had the highest grossing show ever for the WWE in Madison Square Garden. So kind of Madison Square Garden is in my family's lineage. I also remember too, the first autograph I ever signed was there used to be all these fans around the rink when the Rangers practiced. And I went to the rink with my dad and he was signing autographs and somebody asked me to sign an autograph and I signed an X. I remember signing So that was my first autograph I ever signed.
There you go.
Yeah.
I guess there must have been some real excitement in coming back and working Madison Square Garden. Once you broke into the wrestling world, that must have been really a thrill, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely, because it really is the most famous arena in the world. Now, it's a bitch to get in and out of. Like as a performer, it kind of sucks to play Madison Square Garden. Not to sound jaded, but especially with WWE, you'd have to park across the street, and there's a parking garage. So you'd get on like the 8th floor underneath and go up the elevator. And you come up, everybody knows that you have to park there. So it'd just be like a mob scene of fans everywhere. So what I used to do is I figured out that they know you're coming from the parking garage that's here, and the door is like here, right? So what I would do is I would come around the other side and like get out here out of a car and then run around into the front door. So by the time somebody saw, oh, it's Jericho, I'm already inside because I'm like flanking them from the back. So this is like Madison Square Garden, strategy that you do once you've been there, probably, I don't know, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. But it's still always a pleasure to be at MSG. No doubt about it.
It's they're looking to tear it down now, move it, which is crazy.
Haven't they already done that before, though?
Well, they did. The garden was on 8th Avenue. It's where my dad went. And then, the new one, this one here opened in 69. And they're looking to move this. When you, I know at 19 years old, you went to the Hart Brothers School to train, to study, as we'll say. Why did you turn to wrestling as a teenager? Was music a possibility?
Yeah. I've been playing in bands since I was 13 years old.
Tell us about that.
My first band was called Scimitar. Actually, my first band was called Primitive Means.
There you go. Now we're talking.
It was a punk band.
Yeah.
Because all it was a bunch of guys like back then, dude. And you know this. I don't know if you have kids or not, but everybody fucking played music. Like everybody had a guitar or drums, or that's why I started playing bass, was because everyone else was a guitar player. And I was obsessed with Metallica and Iron Maiden anyways, which are so bass oriented bands, that I said, well, I'll just play bass. That way I'll always have a gig, because they're always looking for a bass player. And then when nobody was singing, it's like, well, I'll sing too. I'll be a singing bass player. I'll have gigs for as long as I want. So yeah, Primitive Means was the first band where everybody was probably 8 guys or 10 guys. And then the second band that was my high school band was called Scimitar, which of course is one of those swords that
one of those curved like Arab swords.
Right. Yeah. So the T in Scimitar was an actual fucking scimitar. Like,
that's cool.
It's genius. It writes itself. And one of the worst days of our lives is we used to go hang out at the record store in Winnipeg, and you'd flip through kind of the miscellaneous metal bands, and we found another band called Scimitar from Ireland. And we were so angry. These guys stole our name from Ireland. It's like, you know what? We're not changing our name. There's no way we're changing it. They're in Ireland. They'll never find us. So it was like the big brouhaha that there was another Scimitar in the world. This was pre-Google, where you couldn't find out anything unless you actually saw it face to face and live.
we've talked about on the show a lot about how, back then, and we're pretty close in age, you and I. It's music was music and records and going to the record store was such a big part of the culture.
Huge,
we go on a Tuesday to see the new releases, and we'd open them up and look at the artwork and who produced this, and you connect the dots.
Yeah.
And like you said, everybody was in a band. Everybody was part. It was just part of it. Who are you? Are you a rocker? Are you a disco guy? What are you? So that was a big part of it.
You really kind of had to decide on what side of the coin you were on. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't be like a new wave guy and a metal guy. Like, you had to choose your side of the coin, right?
Yeah.
And I remember in junior high how huge Duran Duran was. Like, they were so massive. And I was like, fuck Duran Duran. I'm all about metal. Maiden, Priest, Scorpions, Ozzy. And so I actually made a shirt that I wrote on it with white paint on a black shirt that said "Death to Duran Duran." And that's why that's probably the reason why I never had any dates in junior high school.
It reminds me of Johnny Rotten when he went to interview, when he went to try out for the Sex Pistols, right? He had a Pink Floyd shirt. He wrote, "I hate," I hate Pink Floyd.
Well, the problem was all the chicks in his class probably weren't Pink Floyd fans. All the girls in my school were Duran Duran. So I really kind of stuck my flagpole in the sand or in the snow, because it was Winnipeg, and really was like, it's heavy metal. It's heavy metal. And the worst thing that I ever did was we went to like this career symposium thing where they had like the local video show interviewing kids at the, trying to figure out what you want to do for a career.
Sure.
And we're all excited because we're on the local video show. It's called City Vision. And I was at the front, I had my Iron Maiden shirt on, and he was like, "All right, the next video is Bryan Adams." And he puts the microphone on my face. He goes, "Do you like Bryan Adams?" And I was like, "He's okay." I got so yelled at for the next 3 months from all my metal friends. "You think you like Bryan Adams?" Like, "No, not really." "Why'd you say you liked him?" I said he was okay. "You should have said he sucked."
I would imagine that Bryan Adams was like the Antichrist growing up in Canada. If you liked heavy and hard music, it was like Bryan Adams is like the equivalent over here in New York of like Billy Joel. It's
so stupid though, because all the music is so great. Like, Bryan Adams is fucking awesome. Duran Duran is amazing. But at the time, it's like, if you were heavy metal, then if you're not into metal, you are not my friend. That's how it was back in those days.
The lines were drawn. Yeah,
exactly.
When you started your trajectory in wrestling, did you always do music, or did you sort of focus up initially as a young man on wrestling, and then as things sort of played out a little bit, you started the music thing up, or was it always something that you kept going even in the beginning?
It was backwards. I started music first, and then thought like, well, man, I really want to be in a rock and roll band. And then I was also super into wrestling, and it's like, man, I'd love to be a wrestler too. Right. It's just that, how do you do that? Like, how do you become, how do you make a rock and roll band big? How do you become a wrestler? How do you do this? In the late 80s, there was no, like I said, there was no internet. It was magazines. You read the back of a magazine, and there was a wrestling school in Calgary, which was close to Winnipeg. There was no where to, go to rock and roll school. So I thought, well, at least I know I can go there and start learning it, and I'll still continue to play music. But it seemed like the easier route, because you could actually go to a school and there was an address and a phone number that you could find. And so even though I wanted to do both, I said, well, I'll go in this direction first and see what happens, and then do music kind of after, which is in reality exactly what happened. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Back to sort of the early music thing, doing my homework, who really inspired you as a young person musically? Who did you really who really spoke to you musically?
So I always was into like the flamboyant lead singers,
Sure.
you know, the guys that could really work the crowd and work the room. And obviously you're talking David Lee Roth and, you know, the guys like Mick Jagger, obviously, and Freddie
Sure.
Mercury. But then you start getting into the Bruce Dickinsons. Cause like I said, I was a real Maiden guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul Stanley, huge influence on
Sure.
me to this day. I freaking could quote every Paul Stanley, but he's actually right there. If you look closely, Paul Stanley right there. Hold on, let me see if I can grab him for you. This is really creepy. It's my Paul Stanley Animalize kind of wood cut out
That's
thing.
great.
So, so yeah, but
he's got the animalized hair.
He does. It's literally the Animalized tour.
Yeah,
Animalized hair. He's got the hairy chest, which is amazing. If you look close there. So, anyways, I really was into those types of guys. That could really work a crowd and were super entertaining. Hetfield was like that too with Metallica, very self-deprecating on stage. And when I first started wrestling, I knew I was not the biggest guy, especially back then. It was all about being 6'8" and being super jacked and everything. And I knew I could never be the biggest guy on the show, but I could have the biggest personality and the biggest charisma. Sure. And in doing so, I brought that into wrestling to be kind of the party host and to kind of work the crowd, because I realized very early on, if you have a connection with your audience, you'll always have a gig. And that's what being a live performer is, whether it's wrestling or music or stand-up comedy or whatever. If you have a real connection with your crowd that is excited to see you, then you'll always have a gig.
Yeah. And wrestling is show business, right? I mean,
1,000%.
100%. And it's, you know, whether you're getting on a stage with the band or getting on a stage, getting in the ring, you know, it is show business.
Yeah.
And that, you know, of course, I assume that's why the transition, or when you go, you know, back and forth, it's got to be in a lot of ways. There's a lot of similarities. It's this, you know,
well, yeah, exactly. You know, wrestling, you know, it really is just like music too. I mean, you can have the best technical wrestler in the world, and if it doesn't connect with the audience, it really doesn't matter. It's like, you know, like I would rather see an Angus Young guitar solo over a Malmsteen solo 1,000 times out of 1,000, because it's real and you feel it, and it's just fucking just gets you, you know. And that's what performing is what really connects with the audience the most. What makes people feel? What makes people, you know, have a certain energy and a vibe and a, you know, an attraction to what you're doing. And that's why, like, it's always about connecting with the audience, you know. And in wrestling wise, you know, moves are great and matches are great, but it's all about characters and storylines. That's all it is. You know,
I love, like I said, did some homework, and I love this quote that you said: winning a championship is like winning an Oscar. It's a reward for putting on a great performance. I thought that was perfect. It's, you know, winning a championship is like winning an Oscar. It's you're being recognized for your great performance. That's a great way of putting it.
And you're right about that. And the thing is, like, you know, people say, oh, you know, winning a title, it's real, it's not real, whatever it is. Like, wrestling's obviously show business, but like I said, when you win the world title, you're not actually pinning somebody to the mat and holding their leg and getting the 3 count. But what you get though is this confirmation from the powers that be, the office is what we call it in wrestling. Your bosses, that you are now big enough to have this huge responsibility. You know, was the Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility, or vice versa?
That's right.
I mean, that's exactly what you have when you win a title in pro wrestling. It's like winning a Grammy. What do you really fucking win when you win a Grammy? Does it even really mean anything at all? Who gives a shit? But it's cool to know that the Academy felt that you know, were good enough, or your song or album was good enough to get this. Like, I have a gold record for Judas on my wall right over here. That's not subjective. That's 500,000 units sold. You can spin that any way you want. Doesn't matter. That's earned. A world championship or a Grammy is something that's awarded to you for your work. So this is also very important. And it means something.
Yeah, absolutely. I also love that. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that all your championships that you've won as a heel. Is that right?
As a bad guy, as a heel.
A lot of people don't realize that.
They don't. It's true.
Yeah,
it's like
great.
the Ocho is my nickname because I've had 8 world titles over my career, and all of them were as a heel. So what does that tell you? I must be not very likable as a good guy, but that's actually not the case. So here's the reason why. If you're going to have a dragon slayer, a great dragon slayer, you got to have a really evil dragon. And I know how to play that persona where it's really hard to do. It's a lot easier to get people to hate you than it is to get them to love you. But once they start hating you, that's when they start loving you. Look at any character in any movie. All right, let's look at Hannibal Lecter, the Terminator, Freddy Krueger. When they come out, they're terrifying. And then in the second movie, they always turn babyface because they're too fucking entertaining. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather see Michael Myers killing dumb teenagers than the dumb teenager winning, because Michael Myers is a million times cooler. Right. So that's the same thing with wrestling. So when people start really hating you, they start really liking you, and then you have to kind of turn and twist. You mentioned before the David Bowie of wrestling. That's why I do this all the time, because if you want to stay relevant and stay at the head of the curve, you have to change before it becomes retro, before it becomes nostalgia, before it becomes stale.
Sure.
So that's what I was able to do as a heel, with these world titles, is always change and move and morph, so that you're always a step ahead of what people are thinking. And
you have had the ability to do that, and that's why you've remained so relevant in the wrestling world, and also moving, laterally, from wrestling to music to the podcast to the art stuff we're going to talk about. I want to mention, which I think it really, for those who may not know, that the name Jericho that you took was. Right?
Yeah, true story. Yeah. Walls of Jericho. One of the all-time greatest heavy metal covers of all time. I always love this guy right here, the guy flying with his little butt in the air in the top left-hand corner.
It's a crazy record cover.
And I also love the footprints that this guy has walked across the desert. I always love that. I was actually painted by a guy called Uwe Karszewski. I met him in Hamburg in '93, and I was super freaking out. But anyways, I love Halloween. I just saw Halloween in concert a few weeks ago in Los Angeles. It was the best time of my life in a lot of ways. This band is so fucking great. And to this day, I'm a Halloween, disciple. And I was trying to think of a name for myself, because it was getting to the point where you need to have a name, right? So the original name that I came up with was called Jack Action.
That's a good one.
Which, if you want to know some real trivia, is from a Wasp album. It's from I believe it's from The Last Command.
Jack Action.
Jack Action. I thought that sounds like a cool name, Jack
Action. By the way, I love that Wasp record. That was like the one Wasp record. I fucking love Wild Child and all that.
Wild Child's one of the greatest songs from that era. I love that.
That was the one Wasp record that I love this record.
Yeah. So Jack Action. I actually might have been on Inside the Electric Circus, one of the two. But I was then practicing my Jack Action autograph on a like a binder, like you do when you're a kid, right?
Sure.
So this guy that I was training with called Lance Storm saw this, and he was like, Jack Action? What is that? Nothing. You're gonna call yourself Jack Action? That's a terrible name. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna call myself Jack Action. Meanwhile, I'm like, fuck, I was totally gonna call myself Jack Action. Now what am I gonna do? And they said, you need a name. Think of a name or we'll give you one. And that's the last thing you want, because Calgary was the worst for that. They give you a name like Ben Dune and Phil McCracken.
Yeah.
Ooh. Think about that. Ben Dune and Phil McCracken.
It's like IP Daily and Izzy Naked,
Yeah, exactly. Mike Hunt. Like, here's Winnipeg, Mike Hunt. And they would do that shit, right?
Dick Hertz.
Literally, not even kidding. Except for it was called Richard Hertz. That's true story, man.
That's a good one.
So I go and I look at the front seat of my 76 Volare, which is the first car I had. Real piece of junk, but it was amazing. Yeah. And I saw the cassette for Walls of Jericho. And there was also a really bad superhero at the time from a comic called the New Teen Titans called Jericho. He was a mute. He looked like Art Garfunkel with really big, bushy sideburns. It was a terrible look. He had the worst. I don't even know what the hell he was. He could like possess your body for 10 seconds or some stupid fucking thing. So, but I like the name Jericho. So I said, what's your name? And I said, Chris Jericho. And they're like, that's great. Perfect. Call him Chris Jericho. So let's call him Cowboy Chris Jericho.
There
from
you
Casper,
go.
Wyoming.
Casper,
and I'm like,
he had to pull the Casper card.
The Casper, Wyoming. And I'm like, fuck, I hate fucking cowboys, man. I just don't want to be a cowboy from Casper. So I just completely ignored the cowboy part and just came to the ring in my rock and roll tights with the freaking fringes on them and all that stuff. Right. And I was Chris Jericho from then until now.
That's awesome. I want to ask you, because we're gonna go on deep into the music stuff and get to the Painmaker. But this is like, I grew up in a film household. My father was a film director.
Right.
And movies were a big part of me growing up and going to the movies, and even to this day as a documentary filmmaker. I want to ask you about this film. Did this Mickey Rourke film resonate with you? I'm just dying to know what your take on this film was.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. It's probably the best wrestling movie of all time, and it's really hard to make a great wrestling movie because usually the filmmakers don't get it. Like before that, you would have the Ready to Rumbles or those types of movies, which are fun movies, but they completely miss the point of what wrestling is. Mm-hmm. This one is very close to home. I know guys like Randy the Ram. I've seen them my whole career. Guys that are just hanging on for one last run, and guys that just get a little cup of coffee in the big time and scrambling to get back deep down, knowing it's never going to happen. And slowly, like that one time when he goes to an autograph signing, there's like 10 people there. I've been at those signings before. Yeah. I've been there.
Sure.
I know what it's like. So to me, he really nailed it. And there's actually a time when I was actually supposed to wrestle Mickey Rourke at a WrestleMania that it didn't work out. But this was a really great movie and a great performance by Mickey. And if anybody you don't even have to like wrestling to watch it. It's just a really riveting, excellent movie.
Yeah, it was an emotional film. I thought Marissa Tomei was great in it. It was a really I love the film. It's very well done. Let's talk about Fozzy a little bit and how Fozzy came together and this run. I want to preface that with saying that I directed in 1995 the first Stuck Mojo video.
No shit.
For Not Promised Tomorrow. I directed that for Century Media. We traveled down to Atlanta and we shot at the Masquerade, and we went to Macon, Georgia, because I was on this whole thing like, we got to go to Macon, Georgia, we got to go to Rose Hill Cemetery, and we have to visit the Dwayne Allman's grave. So I got the whole band. We went there, and of course, Stuck Mojo guitar player is Rich Ward, who you partnered up with in Fozzy. Is it safe to? Can you give us sort of the history and the background of how you came together? And is it safe to say that like Rich is sort of like your musical director and musical partner in this band?
Yeah. Rich is my partner. He's the MD. We are, the Mick and Keith of Fozzy, to where we both know what the other does best, and we've really come to a real understanding over the years of like, I don't touch his part of the Fozzy machine. He doesn't touch my part, and we have a great working relationship. He's one of my favorite people to work with. And dude, I stand back to him on all things like creative. Like he really is the MD. I am more of the album cover guy and, like the set list guy and that sort of stuff. When it comes to like the music, we work together, but he has in a lot of ways the final say, as he should. He's a fucking genius, in what he does. So definitely great partners and great partnership has grown for us over the last 22 years.
Yeah, and you guys have been at it for a while. I mean, seven studio records, and I think that, hold on, let me clear the deck a little bit. I think 7.
I'm counting. Sin and
Yeah,
Bones.
I
Do you want to
think
start
it's,
working? No, it's 8. Boombox is number 8. So we're at 8 studio albums.
You're at 8 now. So I think this is a good segue to bring a friend of ours on who was around early on. He's been on the show a lot. I directed the documentary about his life that was on Netflix. A fan favorite, Michael Alago.
Yes.
Hey,
One of my favorite people on the planet, Michael Alago.
shut up. I love you, Chris. You know that. You're one of my favorite people as well. But since you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. My first album was Alice Cooper Killer. My favorite live album is the Allman Brothers Live at Fillmore East. My favorite Ranger period is Andres Hedberg, Ron Esposito, Phil Esposito, Ron Duguay, all those guys. And then, yes, I met Chris Jericho backstage at Madison Square Garden in 2001. 2001.
Is that when it was? About that time?
Yeah. Because this was the end of my 25-year career as an A&R executive. I was at Elektra, I was at Geffen, I was at Elektra, I was at Geffen, and then I went to Palm Pictures. And I made 3 records at Palm Pictures. I made a record with a Chicago band called Local H, and I had Jack Douglas produce their record. There's a little band from Dallas, Texas that I just adore called Speed Dealer, and I had Jason Newsted produce their record. And then, you know, the funny part about this is that I met Chris backstage, and I thought, this is a wildly charismatic person. And honey, I only work with those type of people, whether it's Hetfield, Rotten, Chris Jericho. You know what I mean? So I just forgot where I'm going with all this, but give me 1 second. What?
Well, let me jump in. Michael was actually instrumental in helping us get signed, helping Fozzy get signed to Palm Pictures and Megaforce. And we were actually, you talk about Megaforce with the lineage of Metallica and Anthrax and Raven and Overkill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The last band that Johnny Zazula ever signed with Michael Alago's insistence was Fozzy. That's a trivia question for you.
Wow.
That's a trivia question for you right there. Yeah. So Michael was instrumental in helping us get that deal. And here we are all these years later, and it's just gone completely through the roof from what it started as.
Now, this is a little bit later on, right?
This is last year. That's our gold record presentation in New York City with Michael Alago, and you can see Randy Sod, our manager Mark Willis, me and Rich,
wow.
and the brother there from the record company. So that was it. Wow. You got a gold record, didn't you, Mike?
Nope. But I'm waiting for mine.
It should be in the mail. It's in the mail. You should be getting one.
Just what Alago needs is another record on his wall.
I do.
I mean, he's got personal pictures with Hetfield and Lars and gold records.
You got to rotate the gold records off the wall.
I'm waiting. I'm gonna dust off the wall and put up my Fozzy when it arrives.
And thanks for taking. We had a good time at the movies the other night. We went and saw the Oscar De La Hoya documentary at
Golden
the Film Festival.
Yeah.
Golden Boy. It was great. Yeah, it was great. Alago, anything else you can add? Any perspective? And
Well, it's a funny thing because, like I said, Palm Pictures was the end of my 25-year career because I didn't know I was getting sick again. And I just thought, you know what? I did this for 25 years. People are not buying records like they used to anymore. Lars is suing Napster, all this stuff. And I just thought, well, you know what? This is a time just to become independent. And, in being an independent A&R person, I got to work twice with A&R executive producing Cyndi Lauper. There's a little band from South Florida called Ether Coven that I love. So after that, 25 years in 2005, I just have been on my own, just making books. And, as your audience knows, Drew made a documentary about me called Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago. And, it's like the little train that could, because it's had this crazy, wild success. We were on Netflix for 3 years. And then we got one of the distributors that gave Drew a call and said, well, do you want to be on Amazon Prime? Yes. Do you want to be on Tubi? Yes. Do you want to be on Google Play and Xbox and YouTube? Yes, just put us on. So now we're on all these 5 platforms that we never even thought was going to happen. And people are still calling, whether it's from the Ukraine or Israel with little, the Hebrew letters across the bottom of the screen. You're like, oh my God, Cyndi Lauper in Hebrew. But yeah, Chris and I have just stayed friends over the years, but we only really worked on that John Briglovich record, the first Fozzy album at Palm Pictures. And then for just some wonderful reason, we've been friends 21 years now. And, that's a blessing. And I think
it's once again, when you came and saw us in Detroit, we gave you that shout out from stage because you were very instrumental in helping us get started. And who knows what's going to happen with a band, but dude, a gold record in 2023, that's a hard thing to get. And you helped us kick the ball off. So we always have a great appreciation and great love for you and for Johnny Z. He's now since passed. God bless him, late great Johnny Z. But you don't forget those guys who helped you in the start, because what the fuck were we in the start? A wrestler singing with covers with the Stuck Mojo guys. Like that doesn't really seem like a recipe for success. Eat the Rich. We still play it to this day. We love Eat the Rich. It's a great killer tune. I remember playing that for you. Like, that's just great. But so once again, it's a great respect, mutual respect, and you always got to remember the people that helped you get started to where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
True. Didn't you have that picture? Did I send you that picture of with Chris backstage at Madison Square Garden in 2001?
Gosh, I don't think I've ever seen it.
With the record? I think I just put it up. Didn't I?
No, he's talking about 20 years ago.
Yeah, I did send you a couple of pictures, I think.
I didn't know you didn't. I didn't see him. I got that one. I got that one with the gold record.
Add it in post.
Yeah, I'm going to post it today. I posted
All right. Alago, anybody you want to thank, shout out, thank you, I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
No. Chris, I love you. I can't wait to see you again.
Yes, sir.
We'll figure it out, and God bless.
God bless you, Mike. I love you, man.
Okay,
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you, Michael.
Bye.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Great surprise. He's a spark plug, man. He always has been.
It's funny. I did the doc about him, and he talks to my mother more than I do at this point. He's like, did you call your mother? It's like, he's really a part. I really love him. He's really a part of my world and my family. Is it safe? Is it safe to say that, and I have this in my notes, did it take people some time to get up to speed with Fozzy? Did perseverance pay off?
Yeah.
Because I know you guys really, you guys grinded it out for years. What's the perspective on that?
Well, I mean, obviously, like we said, like the fact that I was in the band put us in almost a negative light at first. So how can a wrestler be a singer? And that's fine, because I was expecting that and almost used to it. But what we did was we just kept working hard, and we probably had to work twice as hard to get people's respect. Mm-hmm. But once we got the respect, we have it for life. And then what happened was, we're the most unlikely radio band in the world. We started getting played on radio, and I never realized how important rock radio is until we started getting played on rock radio. Now we have, I think, 5 consecutive top 10 singles, which means a lot in that world. So you're talking about, the Shinedowns or Five Finger Death Punches or Hailstorms or those types of bands. And that's who we're, battling against whenever we put a new single out. And I think that's just taking things to the next level. There's still always going to be a segment of the world that goes, Fozzy sucks. Chris Jericho can't sing. He's a wrestler. And you know what? I don't even care. They'll never listen to our band, and they don't have to. Not everybody in the world has to like you. All we care about is the fans that do like us and making new fans who want to dig Fozzy. That's the best way of doing it. So it's a completely different band than it was when we started. It's a completely different band than we were 5 years ago. I mean, we just finished another tour. The band is hot. We know what to do. We know how to put on a show. We know the energy that people want to see, and we do it, and it works.
I just saw that you played right down. I know you were just doing this tour, but you just played Fort Myers the other night.
We did, last Saturday, I think it was,
Yeah. I saw the tour, a whole bunch of shows. And I saw that you're playing in London. This big London thing is coming up, and I know I know you have 2 things going on there, right? Because there's a big, bold move at Wembley Stadium, right? You're doing a big wrestling thing at Wembley Stadium, and Fozzy's playing over there at the same time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've always had a great following in the UK. I've always said that the UK is the second home of Fozzy, and it's the first, especially England, the first country where we ever just did huge business. I remember the first show we ever had in Nottingham, London, first time we ever went there. I could not believe I walked on stage and the place was packed. I literally thought that I had walked on the wrong stage.
Wow.
I thought that I took a left because there's a bunch of different stages at this place called Rock City in Nottingham. I thought that I was supposed to take a right. I took a left because I was like, fuck, I've never been in front of such a huge crowd before. This is insane. So we have always had a great following there. And we thought, well, let's tie in with this huge Wembley show that's already sold over 65,000 tickets. Let's do the biggest Fozzy show that we've ever done on our own. Yes, it's AEW weekend. It's not co-produced AEW. This is Fozzy on our own. And we want to make it the biggest show in Fozzy history. And so far, out of the gate, it's looking like it's going to get there, and it will get there. So we really wanted to make something special for everybody coming in on the Sunday. You're looking for something to do on a Friday, come see the fucking Fozzy, who most of those people probably want to come see anyway. So it should be a great weekend all across the board.
That's awesome, and really ambitious. Playing the big room. The wrestling thing is in the big room, and I read up on it a little bit, and it's really, you guys are going for it. And it seems like it's working out. Like you said, a lot of people want to get out and see it. And by the way, that reminded me that Danny from Biohazard wanted me to say hi.
Oh, cool.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. And he told me that, he told me, I don't know if you're a part. Danny from Biohazard says hi. He has tickets to AEW Collision July 22nd, New Jersey. Not sure if you're going to be there, but
yeah, I don't know if I'm on that show or not, but that's cool. There, we had a great night one time. I think it was Germany or something like that. Good dudes.
Yeah, they are, and I don't know if you picked up, but I'm in the middle. I'm doing a Biohazard documentary right now, so
cool.
I'm in the middle of that. So let's talk a little bit about. Let me run this promo again, just to sort of give everyone the taste, and then let's get into a little bit.
Sure. On a loop, you can stop it there.
I did it twice because it was so
great.
short. I did it twice. Let's talk about the Painmaker and let's get some background first. I'm assuming you were a big comic book collector growing up, like I was. What's sort of give us the groundwork as to your kind of comic book and fantasy kind of background.
So I played this character in Japan called the Painmaker. I just felt like I had a really good run, 18, 19, and 20, where I headlined the Tokyo Dome 3 separate years. And the first match that I had against Kenny Omega, I went as kind of WWE Chris Jericho. This is prior to AEW. I just didn't feel like it really fit. I felt a little bit more violent and crazy. So I thought, I want something a little bit more violent. And I thought, what would a serial killer look like if he was a pro wrestler? And I just thought, well, maybe he'd have some kind of Alice Cooper type makeup. Maybe there's some shit. Maybe put some makeup on, but it kind of goes down. Like I wanted it to be really raw. Maybe he's got a fucking spiky jacket. Maybe he wears a fedora and maybe something along those lines. So I did it, and it really got over the Painmaker. Because their top guy, Okada, was the Rainmaker. And I thought, well, if he's the Rainmaker, I'll be the Painmaker. So I just really liked this character, and it was kind of a cool alter ego. I've never done anything like that before in wrestling where I wore makeup and that sort of thing. So it really fit. Then when AEW started, anytime there's a really violent match, I'll pull out the Painmaker character. But I thought, I want to do more with this. We started talking about doing some NFTs. So the NFT was some Painmaker kind of animation, and fire coming out of his eyes, and then suddenly there's this creature coming that the Painmaker is going to fight when he feels, you know, an attack coming, the spikes come out. And I just thought, I want to do something with this. On the same token, I was a huge comic book fan when I was a kid in the 70s and early 80s. And I see all the movies that they're making now with Marvel and DC, and they're getting to the real low-level, low-hanging fruit characters like Ant-Man and Wasp Woman and Luke Cage. And like these characters were just like jobber characters, low-level characters like Doctor Strange. Like,
I was just about to say Doc Strange #3 movie. You know,
nobody gave a shit about Doctor Strange, and it's a big deal. And I thought, you know, and then there's Spider-Man, and there's Batman, and there's Superman, and there's Spider-Man.
How many fucking times do I got to see?
How many times do I have to see? Oh, he got bitten by a spider, and he's fuck off. I know the story, seen the movies, I'm done. Yeah. So I was thinking sooner or later, they're going to have to start creating some new characters. And it doesn't seem like they will, because I don't even know if they even put comics out anymore. I'm sure they do, whatever. It's not a thing. Right. But I thought, what if I could do something with Painmaker and make it, it's not Chris Jericho, it's the Painmaker.
Right.
What's the backstory? What if the Painmaker is an intergalactic serial killer who's now reformed himself and now travels the galaxy hunting down other serial killers? Like maybe this multi-tentacled creature on this planet that he's on. Maybe this planet is all tentacles creatures, and this one here is the serial killer that the Painmaker's coming to destroy. But the twist is he's still very flawed in that every couple months, almost like a lycanthropy type thing, he feels the need to kill an innocent person, and he has to do that. So he still has this like, oh shit, please no. And so he has to still serial kill. So that's kind of where the concept came from. And the Semcor, who I was doing the NFTs with, they said, well, why don't we do a graphic novel, an NFT graphic novel, and start with this Painmaker character and see what we can do and see what kind of a world we can create. NFTs, if you don't know about them.
Yeah, please give some of the people that may not know a little bit of some perspective on NFTs.
So NFTs right now are where people going, oh, come on, it's just a fad. It's not going to work, whatever. This would be like 15 years ago. Like, I'm going to show you something right now, okay? I did narration on this documentary called, what's it called? In Search of Darkness, all right? They sent me this Blu-ray. What am I going to fucking do with this thing? I don't have a Blu-ray player. I don't watch. If you're going to watch it, you go on, you watch it in streaming. If I would have told you 15 years ago, hey, Drew, here's my, or if you said, Chris, here's my DVD. I said, Drew, in 10 years, 15 years, this could be obsolete. You'd be like, he's crazy. You're nuts. Yeah, you'd be able to watch this on your phone. Shut up. No way. You're nuts. You're nuts. You're nuts. That's what NFTs are right now. What does it even mean? What does it even do? It is the future of all of these things we're talking about. Here's a great example. I have a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. I've had it since I was 10 years old. I've had it up until about, I don't know, 3 years ago. I have no idea where it is. It's worth $500,000 if someone chooses to pay it. No idea. If I would buy the Wayne Gretzky rookie card as an NFT, I could never lose it.
Right.
It's still in the blockchain. If I want to print it out and stick it on my fucking wall, well, then I can do that too. Well, then why don't you just print it out and stick it on your wall? Okay, great. I'm going to go to the Louvre. I'm going to take a picture of the Mona Lisa. I'm going to print it out, stick it on my wall, and say, here's the Mona Lisa. Give me $20 million for it. There's only one. And that's the same thing with NFTs. That's the basic way of describing it.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I'm going to put up a couple of frames, just some stuff so people can reference it. And I also want to say to everybody out there that check out www.thepainmakerproject.com and use the 10% off code, all caps, the Stones, for 10% off. Check it out. I have a bit of a hard copy here.
So do I. Look at this.
Hey, there you go.
Because that's the thing. Right now, people
and
still.
I have this too.
You get all the bonus stuff. People still like having the hard copy. Right now, with 1 foot.
Yeah, for those that like to have something in their hands.
Yeah, and I like having it in my hand. It's cool to kind of leaf through and check everything out and see all the artwork and all that stuff. So if you want to do it as an NFT, you can. If you want to do it as a tried and true old school comic book, you can do that too. Because it's still important to do that, because in this day and age, people still aren't completely convinced about NFTs, and that's okay. I'm sure people took a while. Like I said, I still get Blu-rays it takes a while for people to switch over technology. We talked about 8 tracks when we first started.
That's
if I gave you an 8 track now, you'd be laughing at it. Like, what does it even mean? At the time, it was everything. So there's still people that want both, and you can still do both. But the bottom line was to do this character, do this comic, start this universe, this world, and get it rolling with the end game of doing a film, doing a feature film, Painmaker film. And why not?
Chris, I could totally see this as a film and something that I'd love to see. I could totally see this with this character.
Well, like I said, somebody's got to come up with a new kind of superhero. And I thought the fact that he travels the galaxy, I mean, that opens it up. You can do anything with it. You can go anywhere, any type of creepy, crazy serial killer. Maybe he goes to a planet that's all inhabited by clown people. They all look like clowns. And there's a serial killer clown there. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you want to do, the world is open. What if the Painmaker falls in love? And what if the Painmaker then has to kill the one he loves? Like, just shit, there's so much shit you could do with this character if we start it now. So that's kind of the overall goal for this.
Who's doing the art? Where's the art coming from?
So the art's done by a guy called John Gretner, I believe, as you pronounce it, Gretner. And he works for Semcor, which is the company that produces all of this with me. And so it's a real collaboration, you know, and that's how it all started. Semcor just took the ball and ran with it to make the NFT and provide, you know, even the writing of the comic. I'm not actually writing. I just have an overall kind of outline of what I'd like to see happen. And they're kind of putting it together and saying, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And that's kind of, you know, it's a potentially huge project that we're basically just starting, like over the last month or two. Because, you know, when you put together a comic and an NFT, it takes a long time to get it right. And that's why I wanted to make sure we got it right. Anything I do, if it's got my name on it, it has to be good. I don't sign off on stuff that I don't think is good. I don't do stuff that I don't think is good. I mean, just that picture alone that we're looking at right here of one of the Painmaker's adversaries, that just looks cool to me. Like, I would love the fact that there is a werewolf serial killer on a planet of other normal werewolves who are going to work and providing for their werewolf kids. This guy wants to murder them. And so the Painmaker is now traveling the galaxy to snuff out these evil people.
Absolutely.
Or characters, creatures, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. And I like the bit, and it's so true about the constant evolution of sort of the technology. Like we talked about going to the record store back when we were growing up. Sometimes I think about my dad who's about to turn 90. And like when he was a kid, it was radio. It was radio. You gather around the radio, and that was everything. And in his lifetime, how many times he has seen the technology change and what was at one point state of the art becomes like pretty much obsolete. And that's just how it goes. But yeah, I mean, some people still like to hold hard copies in their hands, you know? Yep. I think that's part of kind of what I've done, directed the New York hardcore. In you know what it is? In punk and hardcore and a lot of music, there's a contingent of people that want to hold something in their hands, like a record or something. So there's still a little bit of a contingent of people who want that, you know, and in this sort of world that we're in, you know.
No, you're totally right. And that's exactly the way I feel it too. And I you know, it's one of those things where I always kind of come up with these projects and then let's really go for it and see what we can do. And the best part is there's no rush. There is no fucking rush. We start it now. Issue 1, as you can see, and let's move on to the next episode, the next issue, and let's start putting together an overall arc of what we can do with this. And the comic is out now. You can buy it right now, like you said.
It's out now. You can pick it up at www.thepainmakerproject.com. Use the code The Stones, all in caps, for 10% off. So, yeah. Get on that. Let me see what other ephemera that I have, and feel free to jump in if you have anything you want to add. This is really cool. I like this, and I like this frame. I think I put this up, but this is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we've done some cool artwork with it and kind of just experimenting with the different looks. And the cool thing about an NFT graphic novel is, okay, graphic novels artwork is great. NFT lives and breathes. This wolf guy can fly across the screen, and maybe there's a punch, and maybe there's a bam, and maybe there's some fire in the background or some wind blowing. And the sky really is the limit. And I think probably within the course of the next 3 or 4 years, 5 years, NFTs are just going to be the way of the world. I think I can see that. Yeah, the kids' generation is going to grow up with NFTs. You need your shit. Well, it's all in the blockchain. You don't have to worry about anything, of getting lost, about losing your Wayne Gretzky card. A Corazon de Leon card, which is the first wrestling card I ever had from 1993 in Mexico City. This thing is literally the highest worth of any card out there because it's super rare. Now, obviously, what does that mean? It means whatever someone will pay for it. But I have one of these. It's in my first book. I took a picture of it, and it's in there. I can't fucking find this thing. And it's driving me crazy. I know I'm going to be on my deathbed. Right. And I'm going to be almost dying. I'm going to open some stupid book next to my bed, and I'm going to open it up, and that fucking card is going to follow me, and I'm going to die.
or it's that classic scene after they run the end credits where like some homeless guy, like all like your clothes got like thrown out afterwards, and some homeless guy like looks in the inside pocket of one of your jackets and pulls out the card.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So anyways, the point being, if you had this all organized within the blockchain and it all exists in there, you could never lose it. You can pull it up, you can sell it. Like I said, if you know about NFTs, people go nuts for these things. Like the first couple we put out sold out very quickly. There's a real market for it, and it's a valuable platform for the future of how we're going to consume entertainment. I think music's going to go that way. I think that artists are going to be able to reclaim their music. You're not going to be able to get it for free anymore. You'll have to get it through the NFT blockchain, which is like, well, I like my music free. Well, it's great unless you actually are in a band, in which case we don't like you getting music for free. It's not cool. It's not good. So all that stuff I think is going to add. I mean, I was in a movie called Kilroy Was Here that Kevin Smith released exclusively as an NFT. That's another thing. I think Joe Bonamassa puts out his music via NFTs. I know Avenged Sevenfold is super into NFTs now.
Avenged Sevenfold is kind of at the forefront music.
They are. Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. For sure. And that's kind of what I'm doing with Painmaker. I want to be at the forefront of NFT graphic novels. I've never heard of one before. And there is one that exists right here, right now, with the Painmaker.
Fantastic. Let's, as we're at it, let's field just a couple of questions. I know you're on the clock and you got a hard out in a couple minutes, so let's do a couple of questions. Brian Fox asks, what was his favorite comic brand when he was younger or all time?
I loved Batman. I thought he was the best. I think Neil Adams is the greatest. Come on, Batman artist of all time. Yeah, I love. I'll fight you if you don't agree. I really loved DC. I was way more into DC, but I was all about Batman. I was really big into Robin. I didn't like the Nightwing. I understand the reason why, but I wish they just would have made the Robin costume a little bit. I understand there's one where little Speedos and the nylons anymore. But I also really love New Teen Titans. Once again, I mentioned Jericho earlier because Robin was kind of the leader of that. And I loved the characters in that. I had a big crush on Starfire. I used to love the G.I. Joe comics that were out at the time. There was one called Vigilante that I was super into that I thought was great. I also really loved kind of the horror comics that were a big thing. Unexpected was a DC comic.
I love those, man.
The House of Mystery.
House of Mystery.
Those are great. There was
and like the stuff like Swamp Thing and Man Thing. I love that too. I like
Man Thing was a little weird, but I did love Swamp Thing.
Yeah, that was Bernie Wrightson.
It was amazing. Yeah, Bernie Wrightson. Yeah, what a great artist he is. I loved. There's a magazine, horror comic magazine called Creepy.
Hell yeah!
There's an artist called Rich Corbin who recently passed away. I was super because I went back and would go to used comic book stores and take the paper route money that I had and just buy like 15 of them, and they were like $1 each. And by 50, I'm just read them all week long. And then the next week go again. I was super into Archie comics. I loved Archie. I love the whole Archie universe.
You were like myself and like a lot of our friends. We just love the genre. We just love the medium. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Because once again, it was a different world pre-internet to where all of this stuff was your gateway to fantasy.
Yeah.
You know, you could open up any of those comics that I mentioned. It would take you to a different world. You know, back in the days when all you had, the only time you could watch cartoons were on a Saturday morning. The rest of the week, what the fuck you supposed to do, right? So just read comics. And I'd read the little paperbacks they would put out. I would read the Treasuries, which was the oversized one. Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I mean, how awesome is that, right?
That was great. The big one,
they were called Treasuries. Yeah, they were big
Marvel Treasuries.
Marvel Treasuries, DC Treasuries. There's another one, Superman versus the Flash in a race. Who could cross the world the fastest? I mean, come on, dude. Like, who wouldn't want to check that out? There was another one. I know they've gone into it a little bit, but Ra's al Ghul, who is probably the most criminal, psycho Batman villain ever. People always go to the Joker and like Penguin. They need to do more Ra's al Ghul. I know they did it once. I think Gary Oldman played Ra's al Ghul. But if you're looking for a C-level guy to make a movie about, give me a Ra's al Ghul movie. Come on, man. Come on, James Gunn. Do that for me at least, because I'm sick of seeing all these stupid Catwoman and Joker and all. Give me a Ra's al Ghul. That's what I want to see.
Bro, James Gunn just did Guardians 3, and me and my gal were going, well, what do you want to do tomorrow? It's like Guardians 3 is at the theater right up the street. In the theater we like to go to where the seats recline, and I'm like, it just three.
You know what else I was super into as well was EC Comics.
Oh yeah, well somebody mentioned that,
which were the comics that had no comic code, right?
Yeah, here you go. So, Randy mentions EC.
Yes, thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
They had no comic code. So back in the 50s, there was no rules. So they had the most graphic deaths in this artwork. And you had to buy them in like box sets. And I remember one year at Christmas, I asked for my mom was like, I'm not buying that for you. It's too disgusting. I forbid you to have EC Comics.
It's too graphic.
Okay, forbid me. Hold my paper route bag. I went and I saved up. It probably cost like $100. Super expensive, but I ordered that shit on my own. I just happened to be home when the mail came. I hid it in my room. It's like I read EC Comics. So just like depraved. It was crazy that you could do that stuff in the 50s, man. Yeah. So I loved EC Comics. I mean, to this day, I'm obsessed with horror, probably because of that. I always loved that sort of shit that you weren't allowed to watch or read, you know. To me, that was just more exciting.
So and just to reiterate, of course, all this really, you know, played into the Painmaker character. Right.
Yeah. Like I said, what would a serial killer look like if he was a pro wrestler? That was all I had. So this was kind of like the original version. And then I added the makeup and that, you know, you evolve, you know what I mean? So I just thought that would be kind of a cool mindset to take. And I'll still bust out the Painmaker from time to time, whenever something happens that demands that character to be around.
Yeah. Let's just, here's one. I know you're a big Iron Maiden fan, Chris. Are there any of their albums that you don't like?
Virtual 11 is probably the only one that I don't really like.
Is that the one with Blaze Bayley singing?
Yeah, well, the first Blaze Bayley is the X Factor, which is, I love that record. It's one of my all-time favorite Maiden records. It's depressing, it's dark, it's weird. But then the second one they did, Virtual 11, I wasn't a fan of that at all. So that was probably the one that I didn't really appreciate. They also put out a record called Final Frontier that I thought was a little bit underwhelming. But other than that, you know, I'm pretty much a Maiden fanatic. I'll listen to anything. Maiden's like sex and pizza. Even when it's bad, it's good.
Sure. And they've certainly been on the upswing the last couple of years. Being a Canadian, was he an Anvil fan?
I was an Anvil fan for the Metal on Metal record, and after that, I stuck around for a couple after that. They were okay, but the best thing about Anvil, besides the documentary that Sasha Gervasi did about 10 years ago, which everyone should watch, Anvil, the story of Anvil. The best thing Anvil ever did was their song Hit Between the Eyes was the opening credits theme for Sleepaway Camp 2. which
There
I
you go.
love.
Yeah. John in London, ask about any early were any hardcore bands on your radar screen?
Yeah.
Being kind of like a metal guy coming up
Yeah.
in, the way you did. Were there any like hardcore bands that
Yeah.
came across your radar screen?
There was a great one from Canada called the Dayglow Abortions.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Of course,
I love the Dayglow Abortions. We discovered them, and the album that was great was Here Today, Guano Tomorrow, which is amazing. And the best part all was like, I think Couch Potato was on drums, and Wayne Gretzky was on guitar, and not the Wayne Gretzky, obviously, but they had some really great stuff. I was a real big fan of the Dayglow Abortions because no one knew who they were, and they were just really fucking raw and dirty and angry, and I like that.
Yeah, right on. This is a friend, Tony, who I just saw at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. I was just out at the Milwaukee Metal. Jamie Jasta does the Milwaukee Metal Fest.
I heard he bought it. Yeah, he took it over, right?
He bought it. He's doing it. This was the first year I was out there with Biohazard. It was cool. Our friend Tony says, did Chris want a death scene in Terrifier 2?
So Terrifier 2, the ending of that was way different originally because we filmed that during the pandemic and it took so long for them to finish it that the end was way longer. What happened was there was a movie called Malignant that came out with the same ending that we had shot for Terrifier 2, where the chick with no face is freaking out. I'm trying to pin her down. Her head turns around and it's Art's face on the back of her head. That's exactly what they did in Malignant. So they had to redo everything. So I didn't die in that either, but I think what's going to happen is in Terrifier 3, I think there might be a Jericho death scene in that. I think the people have demanded Art the Clown versus Burke versus Chris Jericho. So I'm sure I'll have some lascivious thing happen to me courtesy of Art the Clown. And either way, it was a blast to be in the movie. And I was just so excited to see how huge it got. And for Damien Leone, who's the filmmaker, he did such a hugely great job. And that movie just shot through the stratosphere. So I'm excited to see what happens in the future with Terrifier 3.
Larry Kelly asks, can you add more about working with Kevin Smith, which I heard there is a Kevin Smith connection with you?
Yeah, I've done 2 movies with Kevin Smith. He's the best. He's the fucking best guy ever. And he's the best director because he just goes like, what do you want me to do, Kev? Just whatever. I hired you for a reason. He might put a couple little.
That's the way to do it.
That's what a great director. Clint Eastwood's the same. I hired you for a reason. Do your thing.
Absolutely.
Kilroy was here was awesome. I wish more people would have seen it, but it's a great. I had a great role in that, and then had a great role in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, where I played the head of the Ku Klux Klan that gets covered in outhouse shit by Jason Mewes. So that was cool. We were talking about doing something for Clerks 2 or Clerks 3. Didn't quite work out, but Kevin and I talk quite often, and we both share a love for Damien Omen 2, which freaked us both out as kids and still does to this day.
Yeah, we just rewatched that. I'm sure you've heard that sort of. It's like folklore about the Prince documentary that Kevin Smith directed. That just sort of like never saw the light of day, but Prince just like wanted a documentary about him, right?
Yeah, that's a true story. There's a Prince has a full documentary produced by Kevin Smith that only he ever saw. That's in his vaults somewhere.
That's great. That's great. We're heading down the home stretch here. I want to ask you and about this. In doing my research, this looks like a lot of fun. The boat cruise, man.
Yeah. Fozzy played the Kiss Cruise in 2015. The moment we docked, I called Fozzy's manager, my partner now on the cruise. I said, I got this idea. I want to do a rock and wrestling cruise. Right. How do you do that? I don't know. Let's figure it out. And we had to actually figure out how to put a ring on the ship because you have to lock it down. I was like, well, can't we just chain it? Like, no, you can't just chain it. Like, how's the ring going to move? Well, if there's, a tsunami, you got to figure out a way that this fucking ring doesn't move, right? So we actually had to have a team of engineers come on board to figure out how to secure the ring to the deck. Because I was like, we just played on the stage. The amps weren't moving around all over the place. So they created like these water ballasts, these big giant square kind of formations, fill them full of water, then put the ring over top of that. So no matter what happens, these things weigh so much they won't move. So I own the patent for that and own those things. They're in storage somewhere in Miami. But, it's one of those things. You want to figure out a way to do it. Let's do it. How is it going to work? Well, I don't know. Let's figure out a way to make it work. And we did. And it was a huge success. We got kind of a monkey wrench thrown into the pandemic. We've now built it up to where number 5 is going to happen. And we've sold out for that already in about a month after we went on sale. So we're back on track with the cruise. It's the best cruise you could go on. It's so much fun. It's music, it's wrestling, it's comedy, it's paranormal. It's, drinking, not drinking, whatever you want to do. We just have a great time with it. And it's one of my favorite times of the year, even though I got to work my ass off on it.
I bet.
But that's why it's called the Chris Jericho Cruise. I'll never not show myself. I'll never no-show myself. I'll never ask myself for more money. I'll never be an asshole to myself. So if I just put it under my name, we'll be okay.
That's great. One last time, I just want to mention to everybody, of course, the Painmaker is out now, and it can be purchased at www.thepainmakerproject.com. There is a 10% off code, all in caps, the Stones. This is a very cool project that Chris Jericho is a part of. Want to thank you for coming on, man. I know you're on the clock, so I'll let you go. Anybody you want to thank or shout out or anything?
Hey, man, I'm just happy once again with Semcor and all the stuff we've been able to create together, both NFT wise and Painmaker wise. And I think it's just the beginning. I think if you are into comics, you're going to like this. The Painmakerproject.com comes with a lot of goodies and fun little things as well. I think you get like this, and you get like these. That's a bookmark, something or other. Bottom line is, it's a fun project, and I really am not just doing this as a one-off. There's an end game of doing a feature film of the Painmaker, and this is a great start. In the meantime and in between time, you got some great comic books if you want to check it out, and you got some great NFTs if you want to check it out. And man, I'm always full of surprises, so I'm sure there'll be other cool projects coming up very soon.
Thanks a lot, man. I'll talk to you soon, Chris.
Hey, dude, thanks, Drew. Appreciate that. And thanks for everybody watching.
Hey, say hi to Rich for me, will you?
I will for sure, man. Cheers. Thank you.
I'll see you out there, man. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. What do you say? Hey, Alago, hold on. Huh?
You were kind of losing him a little because I saw that he was working, but
Well,
you know how to.
He's a busy guy.
He's a busy businessman.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I adore him. I really do. We stayed friends this whole 22 years, and even though I only worked with him on the first record, it doesn't matter. I like him so much. He's really
great.
Wonderful.
Hey, want to hang out with me a second? Let me take a sponsor break.
But you know what's so funny? I did send you all those pictures, but I sent them to you just now again. And I posted Hardcore Chronicles on Facebook, and I posted Chris on Facebook, and yada yada.
All right. Well, shit happens in the big leagues. Let me take a sponsor break, and let's come back and let's talk a little bit about the movie we saw the other night and a couple other things. Okay?
Sure.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles,
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars. We are New York hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, the one, the only. Our guest today was Chris Jericho. Our special guest was Michael Alago, who we're going to bring back. We're going to talk to him a little bit more. And we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics 666, New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Upstate Records, and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres that design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the style them for stage, album covers, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rolle, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you. Located on 13th Ave in Fargo, North Dakota, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be, death to false metal. Just want to mention a couple upcoming shows. You know what? This is crazy, but there's no show Wednesday, no show Sunday, because we're playing with Biohazard, and then we're back on Wednesday. This is the longest stretch of time. We did it once or twice before. We will be, the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live will be back on Wednesday, June 21st with The Forbidden. And then Wednesday, June 28th is my actual birthday. That day is my birthday. I'm coming on with the one, the only Arnie Stone, health willing. And we're bringing on Team Seinfeld, Evan Seinfeld from Biohazard and Sam Seinfeld as well. This is going to be great. And a couple other special guests. Sunday, July 7th, Jetan Damone. Sunday, July 9th, Chris Spencer from The Unsane. Sunday, July 16th, film and music video director Paul Rackman. Tim Shaw has been rescheduled for July 23rd from Ensign and Fuck It, I Quit. Carl from Earth Crisis and Freya. Wednesday, July 26th, and Vic Bondi from Articles of Faith, Redshift, Jonesbury, and Dead Ending on Sunday, August 6th. That said, everybody okay? Well, Mike, get well, Mike Ness. You hear about that, bro?
Yeah. He posted it himself on his Instagram page.
Oh, he did? He did?
Thank God it's stage 1, throat cancer.
Throat cancer?
Don't remember if he was a smoker or not.
Something tells me Mike Ness was a big smoker. I could be wrong,
Never saw the dude smoke.
Oh, man, maybe I'm wrong. Is it you sent me? I have somewhere in my archives some great shot of you and Mike Ness. Let me see.
Yeah, in front of the Continental. 1995, around that time period. Yeah, it's a great shot.
I had that. I don't know. Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see if I have it.
Let me
right.
see. I don't know. Everything's being. I don't see it. Yeah, Mike's a tough guy. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that was great. Chris Jericho was great.
Chris really is awesome.
Yeah, nice.
So glad you had him.
Yeah, me too. We went out the other night, you and me, and we went to the Tribeca Film Festival, and we saw the premiere of a documentary called Golden Boy, which was about the career, the life. Really, it was really the life of Oscar De La Hoya, right? Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I think he's an extraordinary fighter. His fighting career has nothing to do with the sadness of his growing up.
Sure.
All the beatings and the lack of love in the home.
Yeah, that was.
And the funny part, Drew, is he really carries all that heavy to this day, as we can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm digging out some of the pictures here. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. One thing's for sure, he really dressed appropriately for the occasion. Here's a shot of Oscar the other night at the Tribeca Film Festival, wearing the golden boy, the golden lame suit, you know? Yeah.
If that's not glitz, I don't know what is.
And the film, tell us who the film was introduced by.
Oh, wow. The film was introduced by executive producers Mark Wahlberg and Mario Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sent you the Nest picture just in case.
Okay, yeah, I'll dig it out. Let me put up another shot from the Tribeca Film Fest. Yeah, they did the Q&A. Mario Lopez was an executive producer. That's the director. I forgot his name.
Me too. Sorry about
to the
that.
left. And then, of course, Oscar de la Hoya. And what an incredible story this guy has, man. Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what? For those boxing fans out there, you know, you'll know Oscar de la Hoya beat Julio Cesar Chavez not once, but twice. Beat him twice.
Didn't he like make a mess of his face?
Yeah, he cut him up.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you send it? Where'd you send it to me on Facebook so I can post it? The Mike Ness photo.
Oh, I just emailed it to you. I'm sorry.
I can find it if you email it to me. Hold on.
Just a second ago.
Yeah. Are you going to any other screenings at Tribeca?
Yeah, tonight I am going.
Nice.
Tonight at 8:00, I'm going to a film called Delsner. And it's about a concert promoter dude, Ron Delsner, who's been probably doing this for 50 odd years. He's in his 80s now. And so I'm going to do that on tonight. And then tomorrow at 5:30, I'm seeing something called The League. And it's about the first Black baseball players directed by Sam Pollard. And then Wednesday, and that's it after Wednesday for me, and the Tribeca Film Festival. There's a documentary about my girl, Cyndi Lauper. And that's
There's a Cyndi Lauper documentary?
Yeah. And it's at the Beacon Theater this Wednesday, the 14th at 8:00.
Oh, is she performing?
She's going to be doing some performing, yes. So it should be fun.
Yeah. Larry Kelly says, I'm going to see the Eugene premiere on Tuesday.
Cool.
He's talking about Eugene from Go-Go Bordello. There's a Go-Go Bordello documentary that's premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival, and they're flying in from the European tour to do it. I was invited, but I have rehearsal that night, and you know, with this band of jamokes I'm in, you know, once the rehearsal's set, you don't want to start. Well, can we do it another night? It's like, and you know what? We got to rehearse for this Biohazard show. So,
there you go.
You know. Here's the photo of Michael Alago and Mike Ness. This looks like it looks like Kane Roberts to the left, but it can't be.
It's Bobby from the Undead.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is this? Do you remember?
It's in front of the Continental.
Wow.
Yep. So it's definitely mid-90s.
Did Social Distortion play the Continental?
You know me, Drew, I have half a brain left. I knew he was there. I wanted to chat him up, and there somebody took a real nice picture of us.
Man, that's the guy I'd like to get on the show, man.
Yeah, you know what? Well, now it's going to be something because they canceled the entire tour. They were in the middle of making a new album, so let's hope and pray he heals completely, and then you know what? I'll give him a holler in the beginning of 2024, which is only 6 months away. So we'll do it at the right time.
Is that right, Bobby? Are you talking about Bobby the Undead? Just did a show up there in Middletown. Is that right? Because I just reached out to them about playing maybe a Bowery Electric show. So yeah, Lorenzo from Sworn has a film coming out. Is that right? I'm not sure exactly. From Lorenzo from Sworn Enemy. Which Lorenzo are you talking about? East LA. That definitely. The Oscar de la Hoya film is East LA plays very heavily into this film.
From like 73 to present day.
Yeah, it's all about Yeah. Yeah. All about it. Oh, there you go. So, what film is Lorenzo from Sworn Enemy doing? Or is his film? I don't know anything about this one. You know, is that right, Joe Frank? Ness is one of the reasons I started doing a solo act. All right. It can be done.
Rock and roll. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah. So, what else?
Oh, I had a late night last night. I went to the what's called now the Palladium.
That was let me guess. That was
good.
That was Sepultura and your old friend's Creator.
Sepultura, Creator, and Death Angel.
Wow.
Who were better than ever. It was a fun night, you know. It's one of those nights everybody comes out, you see everybody, you're backstage, you're taking pictures, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Wow, that's cool.
Yep.
You know, was it last night? Last night was one of those nights where there was like 5 different things going on. Even today, 5 different things going on. There's a show in Tompkins Square Park. I'm doing a show. There's a thing in Organic Grill after this. You know, oh, by the way, I got to mention this stuff. Hang with me a second.
Sure.
Coming up on, everyone know the Biohazard thing's a week from today, but Saturday, June 24th at Generation Records, we're doing a Wino DVD signing event. Q&A with Wino. Wino's playing acoustic with director Charlie Patches. I am moderating the Q&A. After that is my birthday show at the Bowery Electric. We're doing a High and the Mighty set with special guest Paris Mayhew from Agros and Chromags. We're going to play a couple of Kiss songs, some Bad Brain stuff. One Life All In with Don Foos, Revenge Beast with Mark Rizzo, Concrete Ties, and Indie Ivid. Sunday, July 30th, Doggy Dogs headlining a show. Want to shout out this Staten Island Connect concert. They're doing all ages shows out in Staten Island. Please support this. This is on August 12th with Cropsy and a bunch of other bands.
Cool.
And then this is just announced on Saturday, August 12th. I am moderating the SSD Control How Much Art Can You Take book event at Generation Records with Nancy Burrell and multiple members of SSD Control. This is going to be a great event. Sunday, August 13th at the Bowery Electric, free all ages Sunday matinee with The Take, Silence Equals Death, Star Car with Sab Gray from Iron Cross, Ma'afa, and Mr. Pickle. I will be in South Carolina at Summerfest with the closing film of the Greenville Jewish Film Festival. I will be there with my significant other Rochelle, and I will be doing a Q&A. Who knows? Perhaps you are somewhere near Greenville, South Carolina. I expect to see you at this event. And then Sunday, September 30th, Mike Alago and our good friend Alan Robert from Life of Agony.
And Chris Saletti.
That's right. That's right.
Spoiler, NYHC.
Yeah, they're playing Dingbats.
Oh, cool.
Kings Never Died, The Take, Ice Cold Killers, and we are playing Incendiary Device. So
excellent.
Hope people could come out. If you want to come out, good old Dingbats,
I'll come out if you give me a ride there.
Yeah. Hey, you didn't
train.
Did you go see Danzig when he did the Elvis thing?
I did not.
Because I figured that was something that you'd like to see,
Yeah, it's funny. I put people on the list when he did it on the West Coast. I wasn't going to go fly out to the West Coast for that, but I think he's coming to play soon, and they're doing like the entire first album or something.
Yeah.
I glanced somewhere and I saw that. That I'll go to for sure.
But the Elvis thing would have been pretty cool.
Sure. I think he recently did it for the second and third time.
Yeah.
Both.
Bougie Huffman says Sepultura and Creator. Damn, nothing from Roots album, please. Yeah, they play some of that stuff, man.
They do.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. It's like, Derek, that version of Sepultura has been together 3 times longer than the original version of Sepultura. Derek is a great front man. They have a great drummer. I mean, Sepultura is still great, different. you know.
Totally different. Yeah.
Yeah,
I never saw them with Derek, and Derek has done how many albums with them?
like 5 or 6.
I think even more than that. But he was great last night, and that drummer is a friggin' machine. Yeah, it was really good.
Elroy. Yeah. You know, I'm a little impartial because I did a tour. One of the last things I did with Biohazard back in the day, I was tour managing on it. It was Sepultura Biohazard, and we did the States. And like, you know, I basically traveled with those guys for a month, and they're a good bunch of guys, you know.
Cool.
Yeah, Derek's a monster. People, yeah, you know. And yeah, there's always the argument. Well, it's not Sepultura. It's this. It's that. Whatever. You know. So
you don't have to go.
Yeah. Then don't buy a ticket. You know.
But it was packed. It was really packed last night, and people were freaking out.
Is that right? Jeff from Enrage says, I was in Vegas that night and waited like 2 hours for him to come out. Gave up. LOL. Found out Danzig played. Just showed up crazy late. Oops. Is that right? Am I understanding that right, Jeff? You went out for the Danzig Sings Elvis thing in Vegas, and he kept you sitting there for 2 hours and you split? Am I understanding that right? That's fucked up. Have people sitting there for 2 hours.
But I would guess also a lot of these venues would have some kind of union curfews or something. I guess depends on the venue.
I know you remember because, you know, who the fuck is that guy, right? We talk about that in the film. When going out in New York meant you'd like go out at midnight, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then when I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning at 16 years old, we lived below the elevated train. So I would look out at my building and my mother would be there with the broom ready to like, what the F are you doing? But Ma, you let me go out. So yeah, of course. Shows would start at midnight. I get back home at 3 o'clock and I was going to Bishop Ford Old Boys Catholic High School. And I had to get up and go to school the next morning, which was only a few hours later.
Oof.
Oh, yeah. Oh
yeah.
Great times, you know, great times. And
he played the Tropicana, Danzig did, which I think they're tearing down the Tropicana, right? Pretty sure.
The Tropicana, didn't they tear that down?
No, it's still there. They're about to tear it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. I'm pulling a couple of great. Speaking of old New York, here's a shot in the archive. We didn't use this for the film, for the Alago film, but here's a shot of you and Debbie, right?
Yes, that's at Brian Ferry at the bottom line with my Farrah Fawcett hair.
Wow.
Oh, that's too fun.
Wow.
Yeah, that's too much fun.
Well,
and that's when tickets were $5.50.
Her makeup is timeless. I must say. I think my girlfriend Rochelle, you know,
models herself after Debbie.
Well, similar makeup there.
Beautiful.
Really,
yeah,
timeless makeup. And then, did I take this picture? Did I take this of you? I might have.
No, I believe I was there with Jimmy Marino that day.
Oh, Jimmy Marino.
We specifically wanted to see that Keith Haring mural. So yes, Jimmy Marino, I believe, took that. Yeah.
How's Jimmy Marino doing?
Jimmy's great. He's home in Florida. Travolta's. I don't think Travolta's doing anything right this minute, but I don't really have a good update for you.
Yeah. Let me see what else. I got.
Well, even though Chris is not here, did you get those 2 Jericho pictures from 21 years ago and then just 3 years ago? They're cool.
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
Why not? Since we're still on the air.
I was gonna talk about this a second as I dig them out. And what this band, they got another singer now, right?
Oh boy. Yes, this is a very fun picture with me, Kurt Vanderhoof, and Kirk Arrington from Metal Church. Kirk just passed away. You know, he was a heavy abuser for many years. I think we're all kind of surprised that he lasted this long. But but God bless him. He's an extraordinary drummer. Yes, they have a new record coming out. They have a new record that's just released, Metal Church. I don't know the name of it, and I do forget, I'm sorry, the name of the new singer. Maybe somebody will just say something here online about him. And yeah, we have to go see him when he comes, Drew.
Yeah, we went last time. I think they played.
Love Vanderhoff. Love.
Yeah, they played St. Vitus last time.
Well, yeah, when we saw them, that was a while ago.
Yeah, and that's when Ronnie was singing for them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Here is one of the shots. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You sent these to me. I
did.
I was saving the galaxy from imminent destruction. Yeah.
Oh, that's backstage at the Gramercy as well. Yeah, Chris is extraordinary. And, you know, now I'm going to beat him up for not sending me my gold record.
Yeah.
That's a good one. 2019. And then did you have the one from 2001?
Yeah, I'm downloading the other one.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Let me, it's taking a second.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, yeah, it's just taking a second. Doesn't want to bite on that one. I don't. It's because I'm in the middle of doing the show. If it downloads, it downloads. The other one's nice too.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah. Fuck's the problem?
And I don't think I sent it like as a totally large format.
Yeah, I can't get it to download. It's just there's too much going on with the show.
Got it.
I got one.
Yeah.
But that said, yeah. What else? Let me see if I have anything else in the
the arsenal of goodies.
Stuff that we didn't use for the film that we could just, talk about forever. What's this? Oh, it says Alago Knish. I'm like, what the fuck is this? All right.
I have no idea.
Oh, we didn't. Oh, here's one. I don't think I've ever even seen this one since I threw it into a folder and didn't use it for the film.
Oh, that's great. I was, that's at Marilyn Monroe's grave. I think it might be Hollywood Forever. And I was with Daniel Ray and Shawnee Salt that day. We were doing our cemetery
run. Is
with I think it's at my Pusshead t-shirt. Yeah, Pusshead.
Is she? I don't know if Marilyn Monroe. Does anybody out there know? I mean, someone could look it up, but is Marilyn Monroe buried in Hollywood Forever Cemetery? I'm not sure about that.
Well, as opposed to, it's one of the cemeteries out there.
Oh yeah, but that Hollywood Forever one is like with Vampira and Dee Dee and Johnny and everybody else.
Where is Marilyn Monroe buried?
Okay, something tells me I took this photo. Okay. Did I not take this photo? I think I did.
Maybe. Did we have Yona Schimmel together?
No, I think we were at some film festival. Remember when the
next
movie
door? When the movie
we left there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it looks like I have some like kind of lammy cord in my hand.
Yeah, no,
possibly. Yeah.
I remember this. Hey,
just FYI, Monroe is buried in Westwood Village Memorial Park and Mortuary in Los Angeles.
Makes sense. Michael LaRoche asks, what is keeping Michael busy these days?
Well, since you asked.
Funny you should ask.
Yeah, it's funny because for a person who doesn't have like a 9-to-5 or a 10-to-7 job anymore, I'm always busy. I'm putting a little book together, hopefully for Generation Records. And that it's a book of like all my ephemera, whether it's posters from my Red Parrot shows, Metallica stuff, backstage passes, laminates, just it's going to be like this thick, crazy, big soft cover book that hopefully Generation Records is going to put out thanks to Drew. I'm working on a Polaroid book. I'm trying to close that deal now. It's portraits that I took in the 80s and 90s. I can't think of anything else. I watch a lot of television, if that counts.
I know I asked
Netflix, a lot of Hulu.
Oh, Peter Falk is buried there, Larry Kelly says.
Ooh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You have the temperament and you watch these long episodic like Dexter and all that shit. And I'm like, at this point, like, yeah, I gotta. Anybody watch what's that thing? Anybody out there watch Love Robot? What's it called? Robots and Love on Netflix. The short animated stuff. Anybody know about this? I've watched all of them with Rochelle. They're really good.
Oh, animated? Did you say?
It's different animation. Some of it looks very, very. What do you? Darren asks, what do you think of the new Metallica album, Michael?
Oh, I love it. No. I love it. I think it's a really powerful record. I think the artwork is extraordinary. I think the title track, 72 Seasons, is great.
Yes, good.
Listen, people are going to talk about Metallica, both good and bad. For the longest time, everybody wanted to know, why didn't they make another version of Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, or Master of Puppets? You can't fucking do that. If you do that, you just lose yourself. They are people who have always stuck to their guns, and they still sell records, and they're on the road now, and they play 40,000 seaters. I signed them 39 years ago to Elektra Records, and they're like, for me, they're better than ever. James is like fucking ringleader.
Was there ever, and I don't want to say, was there ever a Metallica record you didn't like, but was there one that really didn't really ring your bell as much as the other ones?
Yeah, I think I wasn't working with them at this point, but I think it might have been like maybe Load and Reload. Good records. Nothing that I was going to get crazy over. But that happens in the life of long-term artists who put out many records.
Listen, my memory of working with Metallica when we did the film together is very pleasant. They were very kind and gracious to us. And
when we went out to the compound.
We went out to the Metallica compound in San Rafael.
Correct.
And which where's my, hold on, let me see.
Yeah, there's that good picture of you that I took. No. What's her name took of you shooting Lars?
Well, that wasn't.
That wasn't me.
No, that wasn't at the rehearsal room. I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, hon. Right.
I'm talking about when we went.
Compound.
Okay, here's a great one that I took. You guys left me sitting in their friggin' rehearsal room, and I'm like, you went off and did something, and I was setting up the camera. And I
was probably in one of James's roadsters.
Right.
Around the block.
So I took this shot on in their rehearsal room.
Oh man.
And I ended up, when I was talking to James later in the day, I said, yo, where did you guys get the Thin Lizzy thing? He said, you guys? He said, no, not you guys. This guy right here.
Oh,
he
shit.
He told me this story. He is like this big Thin Lizzy fan. And apparently, somewhere along the line, they connected with this old Thin Lizzy roadie guy. And the Thin Lizzy roadie guy said, mate, I have the old Thin Lizzy. I don't know if they call this a backdrop, but they used to hang this. It's got all little mirrors in it, like a mirror ball. He says, I have that under my coffee table in my living room. And James
obviously lost his mind
and bought it from the guy, had it packed up and shipped it back to the States. And here it proudly hangs in the Metallica rehearsal room. Isn't that amazing? And if you see those old pictures of Thin Lizzy, that's what you see behind them. Phil Lynott, all that shit,
Oh, man. Yeah.
And if you're wondering what my angle was from where I took that picture from right here in the rehearsal room, sitting behind Lars's drum.
Wow.
Right here.
Oh, I never saw that, Drew. Oh, yeah. Fabulous.
I took the picture as I was sitting back there, and then I moved further back to show the angle. So this is Lars's set a couple years ago when I was in the room there. But they were great. They were awesome.
Fabulous.
No, I did not make a Metallica movie. I directed the Michael Alago film, which has the Metallica guys in it. And we interviewed Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield in Metallica's rehearsal room in San Rafael, right?
Yes, sir.
What else did we do when we went out to San Francisco that time? Did we just interview them? Was that the only interview we did?
Well, I think that's the reason we went. You know, at first you were a little satisfied with just having to that we just shot Lars, and I was like, listen, we can't just shoot Lars. We got to get our tired asses over to the compound, and we did, and we had a great time. I think. What else did we do? We saw your friend Mark Mahoney up at the tattoo shop on Sunset.
That's L.A., bro. That's L.A. Metallica was.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But I remember that.
Yeah.
You know, thinking about it, I don't think we did anything else there.
We just went, and that was like the big shebang.
Oh, totally the big shebang. Yeah. Yeah, I sent you a fun little picture just now.
Okay, here's one of my favorites, man. You know, listen, this guy's all right in my book. This guy right here. He's A-okay in my book. This guy.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, remember, at first he said to us, you know, I'm a little embarrassed because I don't remember a lot of stuff. And Drew, do you remember you had to write out like 10 questions for him? Do you remember that?
Sure.
So when he saw the questions, he was like, okay, I'm in. But, you know, he was just so beautiful from the get-go, you know?
I'll never listen. That guy was so great that day, and they were all so great. They were all so gracious. And here's another shot from the rehearsal room. This thing.
Oh,
right.
Amazing.
That's the Injustice for All head.
Lady
hangs from the ceiling, from one of the rafters in the ceiling. You know?
Sir. Yep. Lady Liberty.
That's pretty badass. You know. Somebody asks, Drew, is there going to be a New York Hardcore Chronicles 2 documentary? No, there is.
What happened?
I'm back.
Okay.
When I made the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, there weren't many documentaries out there. You know, now there's been a hardcore documentary about every band and everything, and that was almost 10 years ago. Things have changed quite a bit. I think for me, the extension of the New York Hardcore Chronicles film is doing this show. The New York Hardcore Chronicles Live is an extension. And also, you know, it's not official, but it's no secret that I'm doing a Biohazard documentary right now, although it's not publicly announced.
Which I think you just publicly announced it.
Well, not formally, but it's no secret that I'm doing
come on. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, everybody knows what the fuck.
Did you get the Roadster picture?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh,
as I'm doing the show.
Oh,
it's hard to download, you know. But let me try. Let me see what happens here. Oh yeah, this one downloaded. Yep, hold on. Yeah, I think this is what was going on.
Right, when you were in the compound in the room, and I left to go with James, and one of his Roadsters were there, and he gave me a ride around the block.
There you go.
It's great, love that.
Yeah,
fabulous.
Sure. Did I see some clip of him performing, and he had like smoking a cigar as he's playing?
Yeah, waiting to go backstage, outdoor show somewhere, waiting to go on stage, and yes, he was smoking a cigar, which is his new favorite thing to do.
I saw him smoking on stage, actually.
Oh, really?
Like he was sticking out of his mouth and he was playing, you know, if I remember.
He was even on the cover of some cigar magazine.
That's right.
I think it's Cigar Aficionado.
Victoria says, have a beautiful evening, Drew, Michael, and the crew. Well, thank you, Victoria.
Oh, thank you, Victoria.
Yeah. We need another collaboration between us. Listen, me and Alago collaborate a lot. Like he said, there's a book of his ephemera that Michael has an incredible amount of personal letters, photographs, all kinds of really great stuff that I hooked him up with Generation Records, and hopefully things are going to work out. We love Mark Yoshi. We love Generation Records, and there is a book in the works. Maybe I'll write the foreword to it or something,
sure, I would love
or the introduction, or the intro to it. But so me and Alago are always
in some shape, way, or form doing something together. Yeah.
Kenny Clark says, love the documentary film with Michael. What an amazing life and career. Thanks, Michael, for sharing your life with us, and Drew Stone for telling the story. Can't wait for the next one. What's next? Well,
that could be scary.
Yeah.
But Kenny, thank you for mentioning all of that. And you know, you can always find me on social media. You can always find Drew on social media. And maybe there'll be one day we do some little featurette together.
Michael Alago is very accessible. You know, it's one of the great things. Hey, did they?
I'm easy.
Did they interview you for that Chelsea Hotel film that Danny did?
No, they did not, because I didn't want to be in it.
Okay, fair enough. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I got to get going in a minute.
Okay.
No, say something.
Last Metallica rehearsal shot. Here we go. All the flags and banners that they've collected from around the world.
Oh man,
isn't that great?
Yes.
And then there's the Ride the Lightning backdrop at the bottom. Yep. The one that on the bottom. That's the Ride the Lightning backdrop that they used to play in front of.
Oh, you mean that big silver-looking Metallica logo?
Yeah, this thing. Oh. Hold on. This thing. Hold on. This is where is my? Hold on. Am I spelling it wrong? Where's my Kirk Hammett picture?
Double M, double T.
Yeah. Hold on. No, that's a still. That's actually a nice shot. What do I have that? Hold on.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a shot of me and Kirk Hammett in front of that thing from that day, but I can't seem to find it.
Okay.
But I did find this one.
Uh-oh.
Which is actually a still from the film.
Okay. Oh, that's real nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice. Love it.
Hey, our big friend and supporter, will we see Michael next Sunday at the next Sunday's the Biohazard show?
Correct.
We will see you there, right?
I will get there early
to see us play. And then the next weekend is my birthday if you're in town.
And that's the 28th of June?
25th. It's a Sunday.
I think I'm going to be out of town, but
okay.
Yeah.
There'll be other birthdays.
There'll be other birthdays.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Chris Jericho. I love you. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Bye-bye.
There you go. Was Chris Jericho on the show today? Did that happen? Very interesting day today. Very interesting show. Thanks a lot, everybody. What can I say? Our guest was Chris Jericho today, the Painmaker. Next show is actually, it's a big run, man. This is the most time that we've ever done without a show. I think we did it once or twice. We'll be back on June 21st with Forbidden. Craig Lucesario, Norman Skinner, and Chris Contos. The Forbidden guys are back together, and we'll see them. What is that, like 10 days from now? I will see you at the Biohazard Show Friday. I will see you at the Biohazard Show on Sunday. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your support. Hey, I just want to say, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm an accessible guy, and I believe in supporting those that support you. So anybody that watches the show and supports the show, I really, really, really appreciate it. If there's anything I can do, please reach out. Until then, do good things, and good things will come to you.